guys, welcome to another episode of Get Up 10. And we are officially in February, and I'm so excited to kick off this month with an amazing conversation. But before we get into that, let's take care of housekeeping. Okay. First of all, we have the Push Brunch coming up on March 2nd in Austell, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta. I will be one of the speakers, and we're going to have a time, okay? It's the Push Brunch because we are praying until something happens, and also because we're pushing because God has called us to birth some things into this world. And so if you are a woman who knows that you have something to create and leave behind as a legacy, if you know that you are called to design big things, I think this event is for you. If you're a woman who just needs to get around some motivated, like-minded women, this event is for you. And just a sneak peek for my podcast listeners, I'm going to be talking on life after loss, but some of the other topics are also about overcoming childhood trauma, about transitioning from a baby mama to a bride, and oh my gosh, I can't remember the last one, but I just know that this event, it's where my sister's at, because we're going to be talking about networking and women's empowerment and just having good relationships with other women. So if that's stuff that sounds like things that you would like to tap into, hear about, learn more about, you should definitely get in the room. It's only $68. So I'm going to have the comment to buy your tickets in the show notes. And if you buy a ticket, definitely shoot me a message and let me know that you're going to be there, because I would love to see you. So that's on March 2nd in Austell, Georgia, and it's hosted by Dr. Ebony Empowers. So we're going to have a good time. And also, my book is available for purchase. It's called Thrive: How to Let Go, Find Purpose, and Flourish When Staying Seems Easier. And you can get your copy on Amazon or Barnes & Noble, or if you want a signed copy, reach out to me directly and I will get that to you right away. So yeah, and if you were here last week, you heard all about the book. So this is just a reminder, because I know life is busy, and you listened last week and you said, oh, I'm going to buy the book on next week. I'm going to buy the book on Friday. And then Friday came and you forgot. So this is your reminder. Go buy your copy of my book now. Okay, so let's get into it. It's the first Tuesday of February, and I really wanted to start off with a bang. I recorded this episode mid-December, so it has been some time, because I think we did talk about like Christmas and stuff, and obviously we're past that. But this week on Get Up 10, we have Gabby Gabbidon. She is a mother of a 6-year-old energetic boy, a business owner of the Daily Life Planner since 2021. She loves giving back to the community with Ladies in Pursuit, which she joined in 2021. And Ladies in Pursuit, they just do some really great things for the community, and even outside of the community, they impact other communities. So she's going to talk a little bit about some of the things that they're doing, and you will have the opportunity to get plugged in with Ladies in Pursuit and support what they're doing if you feel led to. We're definitely going to make that available to you. But I'm really excited for today's interview, because this is my first guest that we talk about homelessness. And I feel like that's such an important topic to discuss, because sometimes we can have preconceived notions about what homelessness looks like, and it's not always what we think. And so here we have somebody who experienced and overcame homelessness. Am I saying that right? It's like an extra syllable. Anyways, we have an overcomer in the building today, and her story is so inspirational, and especially as a mom, I just love how she also talks about the importance of like self-care and just traveling with her son, and just the come up that has been able to happen over these last few years. Life can just change so drastically, like in the best way. Life can improve so much in a couple of years. So I don't know where you might be listening to this from today, but just know that where you are right now is not your final destination, and there's just so much more in store for you up ahead. So don't give up. So anyways, yeah, let's get into it. Good morning. We are recording early this morning, and I'm here with Gabby Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I am good. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a Friday morning, so it's always a good mood on Friday.
Yes, because the weekend's coming up.
Yes. Are you a morning person?
I have to be. I definitely have to be for my son. Because
Yeah.
if I don't wake up, he's not waking up early.
I totally get that because I am not a morning person by nature. However, motherhood has made me a morning person. Thus, here we are.
Definitely. It has. It has. I've always been a morning person when I was younger, but ever since adulthood hit, I think I'm easing away from it. But then motherhood is the one that was like, okay, no, you have to get back to your morning routine.
Yeah, I saw this post this week and it was like, I'm tired of waking up for school and I'm not even the one going. And I was like, I felt that.
I can relate. Relate, yes.
So I'm so excited to have you on Get Up 10 today. This is one of my little purpose babies. This podcast, I started it in 2018 and it was inspired by Cardi B, honestly. And I do not follow her like I used to these days.
Okay.
So I have no idea what's going on. I think I just saw like her and Offset broke up again or something. I don't know. Whatever. I don't follow her that closely. But
Yeah.
when I started the podcast in 2018, it was because of a few things. Like she had just released, I think it was the Invasion of Privacy, like one of her first albums. And there's this song called Get Up 10 on there. And in the
Okay.
song, it says, knock me down 9 times, but I get up 10. Look myself in the mirror. I said, we gonna win. And it kind of just talks about like how the struggles that she had to go through to get to where she's at. And that always stuck to me because I always valued resilience. And especially like I grew up playing basketball, so and other sports. So I'm used to like getting knocked down, getting hit, but you pop back up and the faster you
Yeah.
do it, the better. So that just really resonated with me. And then also I had watched Cardi's the early part of her celebrity journey, I guess we can call it, unfold because I went to college in the Bronx and this is when I was on Instagram around this time. I don't even remember when I got on Instagram, but whatever. So it was my freshman year of college and Cardi B, she was a stripper at the time, but she was also always using her Instagram and her social media to like talk about stuff and
Yeah.
whatever. So my roommate had told me about her because I don't know if we were like watching something that she posted on Instagram or whatever. Anyways, fast forward. Next thing you know, she's on like Love and Hip Hop, and then from Love and Hip Hop, she like launches her music career, and it all just happened like so fast, and we got to watch it unfold like organically. Like she was never trying to be polished, perfect, and put together. Like she would come on Instagram with the wig off, teeth was crooked, like she's in the projects,
She was
and
herself.
yes, and that also really resonated with me. So my podcast is all about resilience, getting back up after life knocks you down, and also authenticity because I just believe that if more people would just show up as themselves and stop trying to be perfect and like
Mhm.
what they think other people want to see, like I think so many more people would be winning at life. So that is like the foundation of my podcast. You got the long version today.
That's awesome. I love it. Congratulations.
You. So, with that being said, how has life knocked you down?
Whew. Life has knocked me down plenty of times. I can say the first time life has knocked me down was I was raised in a Caribbean household, and because I'm the only girl, I was told, okay, this is your curfew. And if you're not in by such and such time, you won't have a home to come to. So it was always, okay, I am a, I was like, what, 19 at the time? And I was like, wait, I'm grown. So I was always like, okay, always in the house every single day. 8:30, 8:30. But one day I was like, I just want my freedom. So I was like, let me just test the water and go out with some friends. And that's what I did. And I reaped the consequences after because I didn't have a home to go to afterwards. My curfew was at 8:30 and I got home maybe at like 10, 11 o'clock, and the locks were changed. The locks were changed and everything. I didn't, I had a car at the time, so definitely slept in my car, and then I was hopping from friends' homes and everything. And at the moment, I was just like, what is this life? This is not what I expected it to be at all. During the times it was Florida. Florida is not cold, but around that time it was cold. It was around maybe January, February time. We have little winter seasons, and it was really tough. And one of my friends at the time, they were like, "Oh, just come stay with me," and I was able to stay with them and everything during that time. And I appreciated them for that moment because my mom was not having it. She was like, okay, this is my house, my rules. And I understood that now. Now I definitely look back and I'm like, okay, I understood where she was coming from. But during that moment, I was like, I'm your child. Like you just put me on the streets just automatically like that. Um, and it was a lot at that moment. And then fast forward to when I had my son, um, with my son and his father, we don't have that great relationship. So during the time when my son was 3 months, about to be 4 months old, I had to go to a shelter with him and everything. And around that, I I was like, this is not where I envisioned my life to be. And I was like, what did I do wrong? I questioned God so many times because I was just like, why me? Why me? Why am I going through all of this? What did I do? And I started to reflect and I was like, maybe I didn't do anything wrong, but I have to go through certain things to get where I'm supposed to be and everything. And during that time, my faith was definitely rocky and everything, but I made it out in the end. I was able to get my son and myself a place of our own. So it was you you never know why you're going through the situation that you're going through until you're at the end and you're able to laugh about it. You're able to laugh about it. And now you're able to encourage people that, yes, it might be tough right now. You might be going through this, but I've made it through. You can also make it through.
Exactly. It's so true. So when you were talking about getting kicked out of your mom's house, I definitely thought you were like the way you set up the story. I'm like, okay, so she's probably like a teenage girl, like 16, 17. And then you said
Oh no.
19. And I was like, oh,
Yeah, no.
I feel like that 18, 19 period is it's difficult because you're walking
Mhm.
into like newfound freedom as an adult, but you're still very much not ready for all that adulthood has.
At all.
Yeah. So, did you ever have like after the locks got changed, did you have conversations with your mom or how did that go?
We didn't talk for some time. We
Wow.
didn't talk for some time. I that night I actually called her. She didn't answer. And I thought she was joking. So what I did was that night I slept in my car outside the house. So in the morning when she like was coming, I was like, can I come inside now? And she was like, no. So I knew it was real at that time and
Wow.
everything. Because I was like, maybe she has to cool off. And so I was outside the home for maybe 3 or 4 days. So each morning when she came out to go to work or wherever she was going, I would speak to her and ask her, and every time she would tell me no. And so it was like, okay, maybe you just need to cool off. And so that's why I was just like, let me just stay in my car. And then my friends were like, oh no, you can't stay in your car and everything. And so that's where I started the couch hopping and everything.
Ooh, couch
Yeah.
hopping. Personally, I do not know about couch hopping, but my sister went through a period where she had to do some couch hopping while she was in California for school, and they were like in between finding their new home. So I've
Yeah.
heard of the couch hopping struggles.
Yes.
Now I'm curious though, like, did your brothers receive this treatment as well?
No, not at all. And
Oh my gosh.
that was like um I can say my younger brother, his curfew was not 8:30. It was midnight. And I'm just like, and I don't know why parents do that. But I understand it to a point now that I'm a parent myself. And I'm like, even though if I have a girl in the future, I would give her maybe not 8:30, maybe 9, 10, 10, 11 the latest, but 8:30. I'm not
That's
in
like
high
that was
school.
my bedtime as a child.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. I'm like, that was, I'm supposed to be in the house at 8:30 and go to bed at 8:30. So that's not calculated. So yeah.
Wow, that is an experience.
Oh yes. But I can definitely say that in the Caribbean households and everything, it's definitely a culture thing for sure.
Yeah,
And it's always with the girl child on and not with the guys. They have way different treatments.
yeah. What island or islands is your family from?
Um, Jamaica.
Ah,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know why I just like assumed that you were Haitian,
A
but
lot of people say that. I have my best friend is actually Haitian, but a lot of people they always say, "Oh, are you Haitian?" I'm like, "No."
okay, well, I think I just assumed that because we met in Miami and I know that there is a
Oh,
big Haitian population there,
yes.
but I had the same thing kind of happen to me and like my family growing up because where I grew up in Rockland County, New York, there's also like a large Haitian population. And so like sometimes people just look at me or like my mom or whatever and just like assume that we're Haitian and we're like,
Yeah.
no. But my mom is actually Puerto Rican.
Okay.
So I kind of like understand what you're saying because I even just look at the dynamics between my mom and her brothers and yeah. Yeah. Like
You never know and then that's the thing too. It's better to ask than to assume because you never know what the answer might be. And you might be shocked in the end, like, wow.
yeah, it's so true. Yeah.
Yes.
But I love all Caribbean people for sure. Cause like
We
obviously,
all we all come together in the end.
yes. And like in college, I dated a few Jamaicans.
Hmm.
And like I said, I just like grew up around a lot of Haitians and like some of my best friends to this day are Haitian. And like I just love like Caribbean culture, like the
It's
food, like heart like I just and I still have to travel. Have you been to Jamaica?
I have. I have plenty
Really?
of signs, yes. You have to go.
Yeah, I
Definitely.
do.
You have your
I
passport?
Yes, I just
Okay.
left the country for the first time earlier this year. I went to Mexico, which I think
Okay.
was a good first international trip for me because the language barrier wasn't like I felt comfortable. Like I went to a luxury resort and I had like a butler guy and I was just like practicing my Spanish with him and all the other people at the resort. So I felt really comfortable. Like it was a good experience. And I was also by myself. So definitely important
Okay.
to feel comfortable. But like I definitely want to do more international travel when
Have
I
you been
can.
to Puerto Rico?
I have, but it's been
Okay.
a few years, well, more than a few. I think I was in high school still when I went with my family last. I've been a
Oh,
few times. So hopefully I'll get to go back one day soon.
okay.
Oh.
Awesome.
Okay. So let's talk about motherhood. So you have a son. He's now 6, right?
Yes, he is 6. In 2 weeks. He'll be 7.
Wow.
Yes.
Oh, it's like mom tears. Like, oh my gosh, it's
How
so
old is
big.
your child?
My daughter is 3.
3.
Whew.
Okay.
Yes,
And
3 and full of life.
they all are. It doesn't stop. It just gets more.
Yeah, I really love being a mom. And I know like we all have different motherhood journeys for sure.
Mhm.
So you don't have to like get detailed. Like it's whatever you're comfortable with sharing. But, like, how
Okay.
did you meet your son's father?
We were best friends in middle school.
Oh, wow.
Yes, we've been best friends from middle school on. So yeah, that's how we definitely met.
Okay. And then like do you feel like bringing a child into the equation like changed the dynamic or like was there some friction before that?
It definitely has changed, because when was it? Maybe because we weren't in a relationship in middle school or high school or any of that. We were just friends. We could speak about anything. So he was my best friend. And when was it? When I left for, because I went to the military right after high school. And when I came back and everything, and during that time, the phase with my mom and everything, it was his family is the one that took me in and was like, okay, you can't stay, you can't stay in your car. That's not how you're going to live and everything. So his family and I are really close, and I appreciate them for that phase of my journey that I went through. And then also after we had our son, it was maybe a before the year mark because when I had to go to the shelter with him was when it just hit that rocky path right there. And so I think bringing a child into the world along those lines, it was a great thing, but also a rough patch right there because it just turned. We were both not ready, but you know how we have ourselves, we're like, oh, we're not ready, but we have to get ready. So I think for a mother to get ready is different than a father to get ready because it might take some time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How old were you when you had your son?
I was 19, turning 20, because I had him in January and my 20th birthday was the February.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, you were young. I mean, you made it past like the whole 16 and pregnant, but
Yeah, I
still
did.
young.
And graduated and everything. So I beat some most statistics and everything
Yeah.
that was out there.
And also, I guess I can say like thank you for your service, right? Because you went into
I did. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. That's so cool. Wow. Okay. So, do you, when you hear the term like homelessness, is that like, what does that do for you? Like, how do you relate to it?
So with homelessness, I because you don't know what homelessness looks like. There's not everyone thinks maybe the person is dirty, so they're homeless. The person this person that they see come to work every day, oh, that person is not homeless. They look well put together. But now there are a lot of people living in their car. The house market, the rents everywhere has gone up. So you never know what a person is going through because they might be smiling, but they're going through craziness behind closed doors and everything. So I was sleeping in my car, but I was still going to school, going to work, and everything during that time frame. Um, there were times where I would call out because I was not able to like get a certain like shower or a few days and stuff. But now there are gyms that has showers. There and for the gym you just need a regular membership and everything. You can just go to the gym, take a shower. And there are people that are living in storage units and everything. A lot of people right now have have part-time jobs or full-time jobs and they're homeless and no one knows but them because they don't say anything. And so we all see everyone on the streets and everything, but that is not the only homelessness that is out there. And so it's very like different.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that because it's so true. Like we put we form this idea of what homelessness looks like in our heads and it's not always the case. And I always love to put the reminder out there just to be kind because you never know what somebody is going through.
Yes, behind a smile for sure.
Yeah. What was the process like of getting into a shelter?
So I actually went to a shelter that was for youth. So it wasn't adults, any adults there. The shelter is the Covenant House. They are in Fort Lauderdale Beach, and it's like right there, Breakers Avenue and A18. And so a lot of people might pass by it because there's now like tall buildings around it. Um, but when I called, they did not have a bed because for me at the time, and they said keep calling every day and you'll get it through. And one day I was just like, let me call them to just follow up and check. And they were like, yes, we have a bed. Come on. And for me, it was definitely my pride because I did not want to be in that situation, but I had to be in the situation. I was like nudged to the edge for me to be there. And it wasn't myself by myself, it was myself and my child. And in the shelter, I reconnected with one of my close friends from middle school and everything. So I was really grateful for that. And I actually formed other friendships from that shelter as well. With the
Was
process,
question.
um,
Was your friend from middle school also in the shelter or was that like through social media or something?
she
Oh,
was,
okay.
yes. So it was it was shocking to see. And that's why I said you cannot judge a person by how they look because you never know what someone is going through behind a smile at all. And so in in school, I know her and I've always like seen her here and there, but to just come in that safe haven and to see her there, when we shared our stories, it was really like touching. So, for the shelter, for the rooms, I had my own bed, my son had his crib and everything. They provided the supplies that we needed. If anyone did not have a job at the time, they do the job. They help you with the job hunting and everything. They help you with school to get enrolled. If you don't have your high school diploma, you go ahead and get your GED with them as well. You speak to a therapist. There is also, at the time, my son was 4 months, and so I'm a new time mom. I don't know what I'm doing. And everything. So they have a parent coach and everything. So it was really helpful. And I had a job at the time and I also needed daycare and they were able to help me to get daycare through the ELC. So it was an amazing process. They actually have the shelter portion and then they have a transitional housing section where you save up in order to go to to the transitional housing and you then pay a certain percentage for rent and after 2 years you get that money back that they saved up along the way and you're able to get your own place in the end.
Wow. That's
Yes.
awesome.
So it is really it was a blessing in disguise and that's why you might not want to go through something in the beginning but you don't know what your end is going to look like and you have to trust God. You have to also take that step because you never know what that step is going to lead to.
Absolutely. Before we transition into getting back up and where you are today, I'm wondering, like, did you tell your mom when you got pregnant? Like, how was her response to your pregnancy and having this new grandbaby?
um I didn't tell her.
Okay.
I didn't find out I was pregnant until I was 4 months pregnant.
Wow.
Yeah, 4 months, almost 5 months.
Halfway.
So around 4 or 5 months. So that's when I actually, my best friend, she was like, it was maybe when I was 3 months. She was like, "Oh, you're pregnant," and I'm like, "No, I'm not." So I was in denial for maybe a month and everything. But when I found out myself, I did not tell my mom because I wasn't married. And I was like, oh, uh, God is gonna strike me down. I'm gonna die. And I had all these things in my head because that's how I was raised. I was like, oh no, I'm gonna get married and then I'll have like a family afterwards and everything. But it didn't go as I was planning it to go at all. Um, I told my mom over a voicemail. I was because I she kept calling me because during that time we were talking, but then I just stopped talking to her altogether. And she called me one day and I didn't pick up. And I was like, I knew what time she wasn't going to pick up the phone because I knew she was going to be busy. And so I called and I left a voicemail and I was like, Mom, um, I'm going to have to go away for some time and everything. And you might not like why I'm going away, but it's gonna be for the best. And I told her, and I just hung up. And she called me back, but I did not pick up. And she left a voice note. She left a voicemail, and she was like, "If you're pregnant, you can just tell me that you're pregnant." And so when she said that, I was like, "How did she know? You know how those moms just know."
Yeah.
And so I was like, "Hold on." So I was like, "Oh no, she knows." But she then tells me she said in the voice note, she was like, if you're pregnant, you're pregnant. Just let me know. Um, I'm not going to judge you or anything, but the only way that I will judge you is if you get rid of that child that you're supposed to be having. There's a reason why you're having that child now. And when I heard her say that, I was like, dang, even though we had so many like ups and downs and everything, she's there for me when I felt like I failed and everything. So, because for a while, I I thought at that time I failed. Everything else, I was like, oh, I can get through, I can get back up,
Yeah.
right? But at that moment, I was like, I'm not where I want to be at. So how can I bring someone else into this world to just be in this craziness? I was like, no, it can't be. And that's why I was in denial for like that month. But hearing my mom say those words like, I have you, I got you, we can get through this, it really meant something to me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's such a powerful response that she had. Like, and I'm sitting here, I'm like seeing the emotion on your face and like, oh, yeah. It's not easy being
It's
a
not,
young mom. Um, because and I can relate to you as well because like I was first of all, let me just say like my family is we're very close and there's so much love and like I love my family, like they're amazing. But I was also raised in the same way of like you don't have sex before marriage. And even though my parents did it, but like they became Christians while they were dating, like just before they got married. And so they raised us with those Christian values. So even though they had made the mistakes, they didn't want us to repeat the patterns.
the same mistakes, yeah.
Yeah. And they always talked down on like shacking up and yeah, like that was the thing. Like you get married and then you start your family, like get married and then also like maybe take time to enjoy being married and then start your family. But I was just like so hard headed and just like not right with God at the time. So I was just living for me and trying to construct this vision that I had in my own head. And so
Yeah.
at the time, like I already graduated college, I got my degree, I have a good paying job, and now I find myself in this relationship. And I always have every relationship I've ever been in, like I've been very clear, like, yeah, we're dating to get married. Like
Oh, yes.
there's no other option. So if you're here, that means you are consenting
We're
to be
getting
my
married.
husband.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's also how I just like cleared the guilt out of my head about having sex because I was like, well, we're getting married anyway, so it's gonna be fine. That's what I told myself, like every single guy. And so yeah, like I really wanted to have a baby at this point because like I have the man, I have the job, I have good money, and I just really wanted to have a baby because that just seemed like the next logical step in my 20-year-old brain. And so I ended up getting pregnant and it was right before I was also going to move out of my parents' house. And so I had to break the news to them and I knew that they would not be happy. And I actually told my family during my dad's birthday dinner,
Oh,
just yeah. Because I was like, I'm getting ready to move to a whole new state and I don't know when we're gonna be all together as a family. So no time
surprise.
like the present. Yeah. So like towards the end of dinner, I just like dropped this bomb on my family and they were so disappointed, except for my little brother who was probably like um 13 or 14 at the time. So like in his young mind, he's like, oh wow, like this is exciting. And everybody else is just like, are you serious? Like,
Like, why? How? Right?
yeah. Yeah. And there's definitely like so much like shame in that moment. And it was painful because like I know my family loves me, but I did not feel loved in that moment.
Hmm.
But I mean, I get it at the same time because, yeah, like, yeah, it was not the best situation. But just even as I've had conversations with other single moms and hearing the stories around their pregnancies and everything, it seems to be a similar circumstance or reaction that
It's yeah, I've noticed that a lot and everything. But our parents during that time for us, we just want to feel that affection from our parents and get that approval from them. But at the time, they're just like, why are you doing what I did? We wanted to prevent that during that moment, and we don't realize that until later on.
yeah, there's so much that like becoming a parent just brings to full circle or like it brings clarity to for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have heard about like what you've been through, but you're not still in that place today. So
No.
how did you get back up? Like how did you transition to where you are today? And what are you doing today if you want to share some of the things that you have been able to accomplish?
Oh, yes. So I can definitely say that having my son was that motivation and that push because I was just not only living this world for myself. I had someone to actually look up to me and be like, okay, well, no, you can't stop. You have to keep going because I'm here and I'm looking for you to be there for me and everything. And so I was like, okay, God, let's give this one more shot. And we're always like, oh, God's not there during those bad times. But when you look at it at the end, you're like, who actually pushed you to get to where you are? Who actually held you? In my parents' home, I always say this on my live, there's the poem with the footprints in the sand and everything, and those two sets of footprints. And then you look back and you only see one set of footprints. But then God's like, I was the one that was holding you, carrying you. Those are my footprints, but I'm holding you up in my arms and everything. And so um, it was to just get back and continue to trust him and have that trust to be able to just build myself up. And when I was able to build myself up, I was able to just focus on the bigger picture, where I wanted to see myself in the end. And right now, I can say that I'm about to graduate with my DSW soon, and about going to start my master's for it for sure for social work. And it's crazy because everything came in full circle. I didn't start school as a social worker. I started in accounting and then I switched over. So it was really interesting with the change and everything. And then I joined an organization, Ladies in Pursuit of Success. And from my best friend, meeting one of my close friends in the shelter, she's the one that introduced me to Ladies in Pursuit. And what Ladies in Pursuit does is we go ahead and we're targeting individuals and families in distress. We have back to school drives. We do mission trips to Puerto Rico. We do mission trips coming up to Jamaica as well. And we have our annual toy drive that's coming up in next week, Wednesday. We have it for a elementary school that reached out to us. So we're making sure that every child in that elementary school has a Christmas. They go away with a toy this Christmas. It was amazing last year. It's going to be even more better this year and everything. Those group of women, they're not only like my friends, they're my sisters, they're my family, basically. And I really appreciate each and every one of them. And even currently, I started because I love quotes, I love the scripture, just because every scripture, when you break it down, it's like it's God is like speaking to you in in his word, and everything that we're going through life. There's a lot of people in the Bible that actually went through the same thing or even worse. And sometimes you always think like, oh, I'm in a bad situation, but there's always someone that's in a worse situation than you and everything. And that's how the daily life planner came about, because I wanted to stay organized, but I also wanted to give myself that push, and I wanted others to also have that push as well and everything. So yeah, so I do have planners that I make. And then this year I made a vision board notebook as well. And with the vision board notebook, because we have our vision boards, like at the end of the year, we make it, but we have all these things on the board that's so cluttered and everything. But instead of having a board that you just put in your room and or toss away somewhere, you actually have a book that you can go ahead and whatever thoughts are in your head at that time, go ahead and you can write that down, because you never know what that's going to lead to. Or take each quarter at a time, because our vision does pivot, or it goes up and down throughout the year. So you can go ahead and make sure that you're guiding yourself along the way and everything. So that's how I created the You Go Girl vision board notebook and everything.
Yeah, and both of those products are really amazing. I got to put my hands on them and look through them, and they're beautiful. So, this episode is probably going to be out sometime in January. And if somebody is listening and is like, you know what? I need to go ahead and get my life more together and organized. I need a planner. Or, you know what? I didn't do my vision board yet. Let me hop on that. I'm going to put the links in the show notes so you guys can support Gabby because she has some beautiful books that she has created. That's so amazing. And so, with your living circumstances, did you were you able to use the transitional housing to give you like some stability?
Yes, so I do have my own home with my son. He has his own room and everything, even though
Yay.
even though he doesn't sleep in his room most of the time. But yes. Yes, my living situation is better, even though with this market going on nowadays, it's ups and downs and everything. But we are definitely on the way to where we're supposed to be going soon.
Man, yeah, exactly. That's so amazing. And also congratulations on your degree, soon to be degrees.
Thank you. Thank
That's
you.
amazing. And what is your vision for your degrees and your career?
So for my BSW, I should be getting it August of 2024. And then for the master's program, I start right after there. It's going to be about a year. So 2025, I will have my MSW.
Nice. And what kind of work would you like to do with those degrees?
With the social work, it's the same thing that I'm doing currently right now, giving back to the community and everything. I would definitely work with teenage moms for sure and everything. So I've actually, with the organization that I'm a part of, we go back to the Covenant House and we do like different things with them. We do game nights. The last one we had was a carnival theme game night, and they had like different areas where they went. They do darts, they at like the pies and pie eating contest, the ring toss and everything. We actually had a family feud affirmation bingo with them. It's really amazing to just go go somewhere that already poured into me to just pour back into others, and it's great.
Yeah, that is so exciting and so profound. Even just listening to you talk about all these different activities, I'm like, it lights me up because I'm like, that is so exciting and fun. And like, I love that for you. I love that for those girls. And I also just wanted to mention, like, I asked what you want to do with your degree within social work because our mutual friend Wilda has taught me that there's so much you can do within like
Yeah,
social work, and I don't think people always know that or realize that. So that's why I want to ask you like more specifically.
yeah, everybody always, when they think about social workers, they're like, oh, those are people that take people kids away from them. Um, but that is the child welfare. There is maybe 6 or 7 other areas of social work because there's the Henderson for behavioral health and everything dealing with mental health, the substance abuse, and the there's so many different others for sure.
Yeah. And also, something that just came to my mind was this one quote that I love. It's like, what are you gonna do when you get to the top? And it's like, I'm gonna reach my hand back for the others. And I feel like
Yeah,
your life is such a beautiful example of that.
thank you. Thank you.
You're
Yeah.
welcome. Is there anything else that contributed to you being able to bounce back, to get back up? You mentioned that you had to build yourself up first. And I always like to the last serious part of the interview is just talking about living life with no filter and authentically being yourself. So can you talk a little bit about that and like what when you say you had to build yourself up first, how did you do that?
Because it was always self-love. We through in motherhood, our bodies change and everything. Sometimes we're like, oh, this is new. What is this? So we're living our lives for our children or our child at that time. And you have to remember your child is going to be growing up and they're going to be living their own life soon. But you also have to take care of yourself. And self-care is very important to me. There's a quote that I always tell everybody. If it costs you your peace, it's too expensive because your peace is number one for sure. And so for me, it's like taking time to talk to God for maybe any time because we're always like, oh, pray in the morning, pray in the evening, pray before you go to bed, this and that. No, talk to him throughout your day because it's like a refresher, like something is like just whew, and everything like it's just breathing. And also taking care of yourself. Sometimes go for a walk, um, get your nails done, get your hair done, and everything. Now I can definitely say this year was my year for travel and everything. So every month I was somewhere else. Every month I was somewhere else, and that was my self-care for this year. Um, and taking time out for me to be able to just spend time with myself, get to know myself. Who is Gabby? Like, yes, I knew myself when I was younger, but now I'm an adult. Like, what do you like to do? Take yourself out to the movies and everything. One time, during that phase, I would always go to the movies like maybe on a Thursday or a Friday. And it was without my son at the time. And one day I had the movies to myself and I was like, this is nice.
Yes.
So definitely enjoy your own company and
Yeah,
everything. Yep.
I love that. I'm so big on that too. And I'm happy that you touched on travel because, well, two things that one thing that I always tell myself is that successful single moms exist and I will be one of them. And then the
Yes.
other thing, not that I tell myself, but I also love to travel. And I think now my view of travel is different as a mom because I'm like, okay, I want to travel, but like I also want to bring my kids sometimes. Like I want her to have amazing experiences.
Yeah.
So you said you traveled a lot this year. Was that by yourself or like did you bring your son with you or a little bit of both?
It was both. I mostly traveled with friends and everything, and then sometimes it was with my son. We went on a day trip to Atlanta. One time that was I don't know what I was thinking, but during the summertime because I didn't want him to be out of school. So during the summer, I what I did was like I'm like, okay, so this month, wherever you want to go, we're gonna go. And he was like, what? So just to see, we did a road trip and everything to up to my brothers, and we stayed with them for a while, and then we just explored the area. And then now his birthday's coming up. He told me he wants to do Disney, and I was like, all right, we're gonna do Disney for a whole week.
Nice.
So, so for his birthday, we're gonna be going to Disney, and that's his travel for his birthday time around. And so 7 is a great number,
Yes.
an awesome number. So I'm just like, you reached that milestone. It's now up from here.
Yes.
Where we're going next. And so yeah.
I love that. I just went to Disney over the summer with my family for my sister's 21st birthday, and we had so much fun. He's gonna
Oh
love
yeah.
it. And a week is like the perfect amount of time, honestly.
Oh
So
yes.
I'm excited for you guys. It's gonna be so much fun.
Yes, he wanted to go back because we went when he was like 3, and he wasn't able to get on all the rides, but now he's
Oh
gonna have a
yes, it's over. Y'all gonna be get the fast pass now.
right now.
Wow. What was I gonna tell you? Talking about traveling. Oh yeah, so would you say you have like a good support system then?
I do. I definitely
Good.
do. Yes,
Yeah, because it makes a huge difference. And yeah, yeah.
it does. It does.
That is, I'm so happy to hear that. And I'm still like thinking about this Disney trip. I'm like, it's gonna be a great time. Oh, so you reminded me because the church that I have been attending since I moved to Florida, um, one of the pastors, I don't know, it's kind of like a mega church. So
Mhm.
they have like 8 campuses. Each campus has a pastor, and then like there's pastor like different types of pastors. You have like the lead pastor, executive pastor, this pastor. I don't
Oh
know.
yeah. Yeah.
So one of these pastors is a single mom, and she has 3 grown kids now. But she was talking about how when she was raising her kids, she would ask them like, "Where do you want to go this year?" And then they would like save up and plan towards that. And that inspired me as as a mom because growing up, like we at first we would go on family vacations like every year to Florida, and then my family's finances shifted and there was no more family vacations.
Mhm.
So, but even then, like I don't really remember my parents ever asking me like, "Hey, where do you want to go?" and
Yeah.
like making it happen. So that's definitely something I look forward to doing for my daughter. And I love that you're doing that for your son.
Yes. It's when you start doing it, you're gonna feel because we always do things that we want to do, and sometimes it's not what they want to do. And then all the time we always do everything that they want to do, but you have to meet in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, that's so true. Okay,
Yeah.
so we talked about how like the importance of self-care and like building yourself back up. Do you have anything to say in terms of living with no filter and just authentically being yourself? Because I heard you say you had to ask yourself like, who is Gabby? And I've been there too, where I'm like, okay, who is Ginger right now? So have you been able to answer that question, and how does that affect how you show up every day?
Um, just like the quote that I live by, if it costs me my peace, it's too expensive. Um, every day God has given, I wake up and I'm like, oh, I'm alive. I have a purpose. I have
Yeah.
not fulfilled that purpose as of yet. So, what is it that I need to fulfill, God? What is the next step? And that's what I live by every day. And my pastor says, my pastor, living where Christian Center in Cold Springs, he's been my pastor since I was born and everything. So I've been going to
Wow.
that church since I was born and everything. And just now, like before when we were younger, we didn't understand what was going on, right? And so now when I'm going to church, I'm just like, wow, this is really relatable and everything. So I definitely live my life as it's supposed to be. Every day is a new opportunity for any type of change that needs to be done.
I love that. And that makes perfect sense to me because there's definitely some turmoil and conflict when you don't know who you are, but when you experience peace and you know how to create peace in your life, yeah, you can't compromise on that. But
No,
I get it. I get it.
you don't want no one to disrupt it at all, at all.
Yeah.
And when it gets disrupted, you just gotta think about like what made that disruption and everything. And so you have to reflect on yourself back again. But I can definitely say 100%. We don't know ourselves. So I can't sit here and tell you that, oh, I know who Gabby is and tell you everything because I don't. I'm still learning. Every day is a learning.
Yeah. I really, I'm so happy that you just said that because I have always had like big dreams and big vision and stuff. And I would say this was like 2018, 2019. So I would have just been graduating college or just about to around that time period. Like I had, and this has been like a theme throughout my young adulthood or whatever, where like older people will tell me like, oh, you don't know yourself. You don't know who you are yet. And
Oh yeah.
it always like mess with me because I'm like, okay, so like, do you know? Like, is there an age or a certain point where I finally am free to move about because I now know who I am suddenly? But really, like, there's so this in the same way that like we will never stop learning about God because he's just so big. I think
Mhm.
that there's like layers and depth to us as individuals as well. And then, we go through life and there's different experiences and seasons and things change. So it's like we are always going to be learning and rediscovering ourselves to a degree, or at least hopefully, because I believe
Mhm.
that like when you stop growing, when you stop learning, you're probably not living.
That is true because you learn something
Yeah.
new every day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that.
Anytime,
I needed to
anytime.
hear that. All right. So that's like all the serious questions I got, but I do have a couple fun questions that I like to finish off with. So we already have established our love for travel. Where is the next place that you would like to go to?
Um, I have been seeing St. Martin on my
Oh,
timeline. And so I think it's it's gonna be a trip coming up soon for St. Martin. I'm still debating if I should bring my son or if we should do a different trip because he wants to go to Hawaii, and I'm like, we could do that another year,
yeah.
or we can do that, but it really just depends. But it's definitely either Hawaii or St. Martin for sure.
Nice. And then, is there a song that you would like to share? So it could be either something that you've had on repeat lately or just something that is like a go-to for you that like gets you through or encourages you.
Oh yes. I love Can't Give Up Now by Mary Mary. That's definitely been with me since childhood. Um, and then what is there is an affirmation song that I started listening to, and it's called I Am, but I don't know who the artist is. But it's like I am beautiful, I am loved, I am amazing, and it just keeps going with the I ams and everything that encourages me each day when I have to be like, whew, and breathe. Um, and then the third one is break every chains. That
Oh, yes.
break every chains with Tasha Cobbs.
Yes.
That one for sure.
I'm like sitting here just like, let me pause and reflect on Break Every Chain real quick because
Right.
yes, I love that. And if you can figure out the affirmation song, um, you could just send it to me because I like to share these things for whoever's listening that might need some encouragement. So we'll try to get that to them. And lastly, I like to ask about a book recommendation. So it could be something that you have read recently or something that you just read overall that like changed the game for you.
And so many books. I have a lot of books. Um, but I can definitely let me get this one because it's nearby. And it's two of my recent friends. And so for the parents and everything, it is building bonds with boundaries, my journey to reform parenting. And it's by one of my friends, Natasha Nelson. I don't know if you can see it.
Okay, there we go. Building
Yes.
bonds with boundaries. Cool.
Yes. So reform parenting. It's an amazing book for parents. And then also for anyone that just we've been in the world and we're just like, okay, God, I need you. I need you. And it's God. It's nice to finally meet you. And it's by one of my girls, Monica Tooks.
I love that.
Yes. So these two books, definitely.
Also, shout out to you for supporting your friends because
Of course.
that's so amazing. Like most times we'll hear like these super popular like books from these big figures. So I really appreciate you coming on here and be like, this is my friend's book and it was so good. Like that's dope. Well, that is all I got for today. Do you have any last thoughts or closing words that you would like to share?
Um, Definitely, if you guys want to donate towards Ladies in Pursuit because we are always doing everything throughout the year. You can definitely text LIPS, LIPS to 53555 to contribute to any of our endeavors throughout the year. We do the mental health summits for mental health awareness. We do the mission trip to Puerto Rico and Jamaica with the orphanages, along with the homeless shelters. We also do back to school drives, not only to target towards the teachers and the students, but the teachers as well, so that they can have something as well. And then our end of year toy drive. So definitely, we appreciate any support anyone can provide to us.
Perfect. And we will definitely include that information in the show notes. Thank you so much
Yeah.
for sharing your story and some of your journey with us. My vision for Get Up 10 is to create something where I've talked to people who've been through it all. Like, I want to be able to meet somebody and they say, like, yeah, this is what I'm going through. And I'll be like, I got an episode about that. You should listen to my friend Gabby because she went through that too. Or listen to my friend Kevin because he was talking about that. Like, that is my goal. So I'm so excited because I don't think that I've ever talked about homelessness. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just adding syllables on. But anyways, I don't think I've ever really talked to somebody who has that story. So I'm excited because it's like you've expanded my territory. You have expanded like the reach of Get Up 10. And so I'm so thankful for that. And it was just a pleasure to learn more about you.
Yes, thank you for having me so much, Ginger. I appreciated this and share my story because you never know who is going to be able to just be like, wow,
Exactly. And yes, you are a welcome guest here. So just thank you again.
thank you for having me. I hope you enjoy your weekend.
Girl, yes, I will. You too.
Safe travels later.